pop the springs off the front that they had holding on there, because this is just a slip fit on these. Undid the one bolt in the back, dropped that clamp off. This thing is absolute junk. I mean, it's all dinged up. They're not good exhaust to start with, so let's get that out of the way. Now, I usually build an assembly like this, an elbow. Weld it all up, use this same kind of bracket here. So, this is actually a decent elbow on these. This clamp is not the original, I think they called it a Torco clamp, or the original clamp's a lot heavier duty, and I think I may have one in my parts pile, so I'll change that out. And then what I use is just a standard 2-inch glass pack. Put it on there. I know it looks a little weird like this, but and what I do is I'll weld that onto the front piece there, and in the back, I don't know if you can see that. That hanger that went with the Jardine, I'll take that off, and I usually build a piece that fits down and cradles the top of this, and then I use these clamps that are like the factory clamps to hold the mufflers on, except they have the spring on them so they don't break. And you can buy these from McMaster Car, and you can get this size, which is considerably smaller than the stock. You can actually get the bigger ones if you run stock exhaust and end up breaking your clamps. You can get these spring loaded ones, and you won't have problems with the clamps breaking anymore. So next I'll take this off and probably tack weld, get that muffler lined up, tack weld it on there, and I finish weld it. And then to finish it up, we kick it out the side and just angle cut the tip. Paint all that high heat black, and it looks pretty slick and sounds pretty good. So get to work. Well, I've already hit a little bit of a roadblock. Number one, like I said, I don't like this little clamp. And I didn't have one in the parts bin like I'd hoped. But the local auto parts can get one. And I'll have it here by tomorrow afternoon. Nice little stainless steel there. An AccuSeal by Torca. And there's a much better clamp than that. So we'll put that on there. But the problem I ran into now is that in this hole, you have these spacers. One to go on this side, one to go on that side, and they pinch together. Well, that frickin' idiot that we bought this bike from evidently lost one, because the only one that was in there was on the far side. I thought that flange on the pipe looked like it was pulled in a little too far, and it wasn't solid, because I mean it should be solidly up against those two spacers. So fortunately I have a lathe and I have lots of bar stock, so guess I'll go turn one of these before I do anything else, because I want to have the elbow pipe bolted up exactly like I want it before I put the muffler on and tack weld it. So I'll get busy building one of these. And a few minutes later, a brand new spacer is born. Alright, pipe is on there. It's centered up and leveled like I want it. I used the MIG and put 3 small tacks to hold it together. And if that elbow had been mild steel like I made mine, I would go ahead and weld the whole joint with the MIG, because I can make it look just fine. The problem is we got stainless going to mild steel, and if you wanted to weld that with the MIG, I'd need 309 wire, and I don't have any of that, and some different gas to make a good looking dissimilar metal weld. And if I did it with anything else, it'd be more prone to cracking. So I've drug the TIG over here. I do have 309 filler rod for it, so we'll clean that up, weld that on around, Normally I don't finish weld till I've got everything done, but that is where that pipe's going to stay. I will make the rear mount, possibly using that piece off the other pipe, and then put on the little tail section. It's not some of my best work, but considering I had to fill a pretty big gap there, I don't think it's too bad, and I certainly don't think it's going to break. You can see the way this glass pack is put together. The inner tube and the outer shell is just spot welded. And so I was filling in the gap where the elbow went in, along with fastening the outer shell to the elbow. So, should be good. Like I said, this is going to be painted high heat black, so it'll be just great. Think I'm going to quit for tonight and start on it again tomorrow. Making a little progress today. This is the saddle piece that'll go on top of the muffler, and then these clamps will go around that and fasten it to the muffler. Now what I'm doing is just waiting on this to cool down. Then I'll cut it off about there and weld it on. There was a cross piece for the Jardine muffler where it mounted. I'm going to reuse it because it bolts in to the engine case. So we'll just weld this to that other piece. And then it'll be all set. We'll have nothing left to do but the kick-out pipe on the end. And here is the finished bracket. Still literally smoking. So I'll clean that up, bolt that in place, and now all we're left to do is the kick out so it's not shooting straight on the back tire. And since Paige is a wrench turner, she can take this all back off and paint it herself. So I don't have to mess with that. Plus, she's over here right now. She's over there looking at some stuff on my bike. And then she is going to hook up her laptop, make some changes on the tune, so we should have this fired up tonight. Okay, got the tail section welded on. It's again not my prettiest welds, but that was a huge gap to weld, and I started doing it with the MIG, and since that was aluminized, and it was just not making a good weld, so I went in and filled it with the TIG. And once it's painted and under the bike, it's not going to matter. I mean, it's not that bad of a looking weld, but it's not like I usually like. We'll cut off those little hanger brackets for the springs. Paige is working on the tune, and we should be ready to fire up here in a minute. The exhaust is all bolted on, got the clamps hooking in the back. Once you paint that whole can black, the clamps really stand out, look pretty sharp. Other side. Okay, getting ready to do the first test fire. It's in neutral, ready. Got that on. Still haven't done any actual tuning. Then I've shot the WD-40 on her pipes while I was cleaning some of the paint off. And I'm really not used to these idling fast when they're cold, because I've got the old style that doesn't adjust the idle speed. Well, we got to put a tail light bulb in it. And then I'm going to take it out for a spin.